Alright, so I had to get a little dapper for this one, because look, when Franklin Saint walks into a room, he means business. So that means for this review, I gotta mean business. So ladies and gentlemen, let's get down to business. Snowfall Season 5. Hey guys, it's your guy in the chair here, and this is my review for Snowfall Season 5. Now look, before I get into details and everything about what happened in the season, I just want to give a fair warning. This will be a spoiler-filled review. I won't necessarily be going over every detail in the season, but I'll just be going over things that stood out to me or things that I just essentially want to talk about, and I will be going over those things in full detail, full spoiler warning, just, flat out laying it out there for you before we get into it. I just got to give a fair warning. So now that you've been warned, let's talk some Snowfall. So to break down my thoughts on Season 5, before I really get into everything, I just want to give my overview of how I feel about the show, just because this is my first review on it, and I haven't, ever gave my feelings on Snowfall before, and I'm starting from Season 5, so I'd rather give a little backstory. Look, long story short, I love Snowfall. It's one of my favorite shows of this century. I can't necessarily say it's one of my favorite shows all time, just because it hasn't finished yet, and plus, this season was definitely one of the more weaker ones of the series, but I'll get into that in just a second. But overall, I love Snowfall. I'm a big fan of Franklin Saint. I'm a big fan of Sissy Saint, his mother, Jerome, Louis, all the crew. I'm a big fan of all of them. I love this show a lot. It has been intense, nothing but hooking, intense action since the very first episode. And, now we've gotten this season where it kind of fell off a little bit. I mean, essentially, I don't want to say it fell off, but this is definitely one of the more weaker seasons that we've gotten, honestly, since the very beginning of the show. Honestly, this show is so good. The way I'm going to explain this, season makes it seem like this is the worst season, or this is essentially just not a good way that the series went. But just in general, to kind of just start from where all of my frustrations with this season started, I'll start from where I feel like everybody's frustration started, and that's Franklin Saint's baby mama slash new girlfriend slash fiance. I do not know her name. I honestly never cared to learn it, if I'm being completely honest. She was just somebody who I was thrown off from the very beginning. And now there's a whole bunch of different reasons why people were thrown off by her character. One, okay, a lot of people were saying she wasn't the most attractive. I mean, I can attest to that. I'm not going to slander my black queens too much. I know I sound like Russell Wilson there, but I'm not going to slander my black queens too much. But for Franklin, it's kind of like Franklin. Well, first of all, the girl Franklin was dating in the last season was way hotter than her. It's like Franklin went to White Castle, then decided, nah, I don't really want that. I'd rather go to Arby's, and he enjoys the Arby's now. Why? I don't know, but that's what I'm gonna compare his new girlfriend to Arby's, because Arby's sucks, and she sucks too. Now, I'm not saying that just to simply say like she sucked like as an actress, because she's honestly a pretty good actress. I won't lie. She plays the role very well. It's just for us, from where we've been with Franklin, and especially for me, what happened last season with the fact that the chick that he was dating betrayed him, and she was actually working for Manboy the whole time, and he spent the tables on that. I just was shocked that Franklin was just so ready to be open into a whole other relationship, or essentially being so serious with somebody else, especially after the fact that, what happened with the last girl, she betrayed him. So I'm surprised that Franklin is so open to just being, ready for a new relationship. And honestly, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but they didn't even show us like really how these two got together, nor did they show us any sort of like story or any sort of like side note to just essentially not even like just for us to understand why these two got together. I like that from the beginning. We just never understood why these two were together, and I just feel like she really threw the whole series in sort of a spiral, because it's like, where did you come from? Like, I don't know. And now we got her at the end calling somebody. So if she's up here trying to betray Franklin again, or whoever she's calling, or whatever she's about to set in motion, whatever she's doing, if it ends up, biting Franklin in the ass later on in the series, the decision is just not going to make any more sense to me at all, because like I said, he's already been betrayed by somebody once. So you think, once one thing happens to a fool, it ain't going to happen again, especially Franklin Saint. That boy Franklin ain't no fool. But I just don't really understand where she came from, nor do I understand her I mean, her purpose is to be Franklin's baby mother or his way out, which is, where all these series are ending up now, where people want their way out, which I completely understand, but I just don't understand why her. And Franklin or Damon Idris, if you ever watch this and you want to explain that to me, man, I mean, you don't have to explain to me anything. You're a big actor, but just help your brother out. Just let me know. Just help you. Essentially, help you understand why that wasn't a good move, and then you help myself understand why that was the decision you made. Another thing that I just found to be overly frustrating about this season was the fact that they could not pick an antagonist, and so the season suffered from having so many different tones. Like, this series has been so good at picking villains. Like last season we came off of Man-Boy and Scully, two guys who I believe acted their asses off and were very good antagonists towards the series. But now, essentially, they're trying to do too much in this season. They tried to make... Essentially, we started out with thinking that with Reed being back in the CIA, there was going to be some tension there with the fact that he killed Alton, and that information just hasn't been publicly revealed yet, or they can't prove that he did it, but they know for a fact that he did it. And we all know that he did it too, but like a lot of us know, Alton deserved what he was getting. Like, I just can't get around that. But anyway, this season really sets up the fact that Reed is supposed to be the antagonist. There's going to be some tension between him, Franklin, and Gustavo, because it's not necessary. They don't know how he got back to where he got back to, even though he snuck his way back up there. They don't know what his pure intentions are, especially after everything that happened. They don't know how to trust Reed. And I was good with that. I was honestly good with the way they wanted that part to go. But then they started adding so many elements into the season. They now moved on to Sissy getting these KGB guys involved, and they became a variable at some point. Then you have Louie, who essentially wants to branch off on her own and become her own person, and essentially I was ready for that to become a storyline too at some point. You can tell that was setting itself up. Then a decision that they made that completely just baffled me. They brought Kane in, who's Kevin's brother, who died in season 2, I believe it was. It was Kevin's brother, and honestly, he would have been the perfect antagonist for the entire season. The way they introduced him and brought him in after 2 fantastic episodes of, I think it was the Iliad episodes where Franklin was trying to figure out who put that mysterious hit on them. Once you find out it's Kevin's brother, Kane, you could honestly set up the rest of the season to be great. It would have been good after that if you would have just stuck to one villain. But no, they just had to make it where we have so many different antagonists and so many different things going on. There's not a main villain to focus on. I mean, even at some point this season tried to make Franklin the villain. And what I essentially mean by that is, it was the episode where they took their drug, they got dosed with LSD and the chocolate, and essentially they all go on their own personal trips. And Franklin is, going through what he's been through in the past, and he's seeing the monster that he's become, but he's also accepted that because Franklin, we need you to be that monster, my friend. You got to be that beast that you are always born to be. We've always seen that in you, and you got to pull that shit out of you. It's going to be great, and it's going to be great to see, especially in next season. But my biggest issue with this season is the fact that it could not pick a single antagonist, and for that, it suffered by having so many different multiple tones throughout the season. Now, essentially, what this season could set up could be some of the best TV we see. But my problem is that we can't necessarily get the payoff of this season, of what this season was trying to set up, until next season. Like, you took a whole season to just set stuff up. Now, granted, from everything that's been set up to, Jerome and Louie going to their own business, Franklin getting out of the business, getting robbed at the end of all his money, the KGB's now setting stuff in motion. There's a lot of stuff going on now, especially in the last episode. There's a lot of stuff going on now to where our excitement is through the roof for season 6. But my problem with season 5 is, why did it take us so long to get here? Now, there are some very good episodes in this season, and I want to point those out. Like I said, the Iliad episodes, the part 1, part 2, those episodes are phenomenal. I'll even go as far to say the first 2 episodes, just setting everything up for the season, was very good, because it was like I said, it was giving me the intention that Reed was going to be the main villain of the season, which would have been fantastic because he killed Alton. So that would have been like a no-brainer, you would have thought. But no, they just had to bring so many other people into it, and then it just started to be chaotic. But back to the episodes. So the first 2 episodes were pretty good. The Iliad episodes, The last episode, of course, was the best one of the season. But like I said, why did it take us so long to get here? That was my reaction to it, because there was so much good stuff going on. It's just like, why did I have to wait so long to get here? Like, why is it taking forever for Snowfall of all shows, which is really a pedal to the metal show? Like, what, honestly, in previous seasons, once they put their foot on the gas pedal, it doesn't stop. And that's what I loved about Snowfall. And I felt like here they just kept starting and stopping and starting and stopping. There was too many inconsistencies during the entire season. My personal favorite episode would be the drug, the LSD episode, the wedding, Jerome and Louis' wedding. That would be my favorite episode, just because essentially it was a lot of, like, when the episode was first starting and I found out what kind of episode it was going to be, I was kind of upset, because I'm thinking to myself, oh God, another unserious Snowfall episode we get this season. And it's like, we honestly could use something that's actually pushing the narrative. No, this episode pushed the narrative, and we got got to see, our beloved characters having a lot of fun on their own personal trips. Franklin, of course, acting his entire ass off with, playing his past self and having that conversation about who he was to who he's now become. And, bodies, that was great. I loved it all. Damon Idris is a bright spot in all the seasons. Like, Franklin Saint, it never disappoints. I enjoy his character a lot. I just had a big problem with the inconsistent tones they had in this season, and it was just not, it didn't feel like Snowfall all the way through. But I'm done with the bad. I'm ready to talk about the good. So let's get to the good. Now, as far as the good goes in the series, look, the acting is always phenomenal. Jerome, Louis, Franklin, Leon. Well, Leon's trying to be Dr. Martin Luther King in this joint, and we got product to sell, so I need him to move on to Africa after this season. But overall, look, I enjoyed everybody's performances. Reed, especially. I don't know the actors' names. The only one I know by heart is Damon Idris, but I'm just going to go off the characters' names. But Reed is a phenomenal actor. I think he does a great job of this show, really, showing his experience, or essentially, what I mean by experience is like, he's done this long enough to the point where he knows, like, he can't really take any more BS from Franklin. He can't really take any more chances of getting hit, or, people finding out about the operation. Like, Reed has gone through a whole lot in this series, and it really shows in this season. And I just really appreciate the actor for, giving us those emotions and giving us those, really pivotal performances that we need in this show. Because, like I said, the show just picks so many inconsistent tones, but Reed was a big standout to me. Like I said, Damon Idris always does his thing, and I just, I can't give him enough credit. This kid is a very talented actor. He is Franklin Saint, and I just love him to death, man. He's a great actor. He does a great job every time. Louis' character, for me, I loved a lot more in this series than past seasons. Now, of course, you see that she's trying to step out of her, she's trying to step out of Franklin's shadow and run her own thing. And what's crazy about that is, from season 1, I forget the lady who she left Jerome for originally to, run her club or go with her to the club. But in that first season, she literally, the club owner who Louis killed, literally told Franklin that she ends up biting the hands that feeds her, that she wants her own at some point. Franklin did not listen to that, and it's crazy that that's coming to fruition in this season now. But Louis' character and her arc, where it's going, I really like it. Like, granted, I can't forgive her for betraying Franklin, so you are now on that other side of the scope, my friend. But Louis doing a great job of trying to become the character, the show's villain. And honestly, I hope with everything they're setting up, they can keep a consistent tone. I hope the main conflict next season is between Louis and Franklin, because family ties, that always makes for the biggest drama. So family ties should be it. And Jerome has just been put in a very awkward situation. I hope he might choose Louis. We can't blame him for that. But I hope he chooses Sissy and Franklin, because I know he has a special place in his heart for them. But honestly, next season is going to go crazy. I enjoyed the performances. I thought everybody did a good job as far as acting-wise. And, but they always deliver that. It's like I said, my issues with this season really just come from the inconsistent tones that we've gotten throughout the entire series. Like, Snowfall is normally a great roller coaster, but it's that kind of roller coaster that's a thrill ride all the way through. It's like this roller coaster just kept wanting to give us breaks, and I didn't need breaks. I needed action. I needed consistent, just go, 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 go. Which I do believe is all being set up for this next season, but I can't give this season essentially its credit, or I can't give the credit that it essentially wants, because I haven't seen the payoff for it yet. Now, we could look back at this season after season 6 comes out and say, wow. We could look at this through a whole different lens and say, wow, like, oh, this was setting this up, what this was putting in motion. And we could look at this season a lot differently down the road. But as it stands now, it was just a little too inconsistent for me, and all I could get out of the season was some good performances and pretty decent action scenes. Just some episodes, and like I said, the LSD episode was my favorite. Now, another reason I wanted to dress up for this review was because I am doing a new segment called In Memoriam, where when a beloved character of mine, someone who I just, got attached to in a show, or, when you get attached to a certain character in a series and they die or they pass away, you get very heartbroken and very sad. So I want to dedicate, a special segment of my reviews to those characters who we all love. And this one goes out to Javi. Javi was a character that honestly brought a lot of life to the show for me. From season 1, him and Franklin's relationship was just incredible. Javi got to see, a nerdy black kid from Compton grow up to be this awesome drug kingpin that we all know and love now. And, Javi did play a small part in molding. Well, he played a pivotal part in molding Franklin into who he is today. But honestly, we got to thank Javi, because we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be where we are in Snowfall without him. We wouldn't have Franklin without Javi. Javi was the person that gave him his first key. So we got to thank Javi for that. Javi, just thank you, man, for being an awesome mentor to Franklin. You did rat, a couple people out for your safety. You thought you were gonna live for that. That's a mistake that you essentially can't learn from, because you're dead. But Javi, we love you anyway, man. We hope look, Franklin gonna get that lick back for you. KGB is going down next season, boss. Look, we love you, Javi. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. I'm going to make sure these memoriams are a little better. This is my first time doing it, so I'm really just spitballing this thing here. But Javi was a character I loved, and I hope you guys all love him too. He had a very special place in my heart. So overall, guys, is it fair to say that this is one of the worst seasons of Snowfall? Yes, but don't let that discourage you from watching it or starting it. This is one of the best shows out there, and the seasons that follow this are so good. It's like our expectations are set to 1,000. And honestly, if they're not there or surpassing it, then Snowfall has let us down. And 1,000 is a very hard expectation to reach. But Snowfall has set up such high, precedences. Or I spitballed that word badly. I don't know. I think predecessors is what I was trying to say. But previous seasons, they've set up to be such great television, and they came out with this one, which I think they are really setting up. I'm predicting that they are setting up for a very big last season. I think season 6 is supposed to be their last, and I think they are setting up for a very big finale that hopefully does Snowfall justice, because this show is incredible. This was just definitely an example of a very weak season. Maybe it's a complete setup season, which I think it definitely is. It's just setting up a bunch of stuff for next season, but we have to wait to find out. So with all that being said, guys, look, this is one of the more average seasons of Snowfall. It's got its parts. It's definitely got, the last episode, the Iliad, a few episodes in the beginning, and especially for me, Jerome and Louis' wedding celebration, that episode is the best for me. But other than that, it'll end up, if season 6 doesn't hit the way I think it will, season 5 will be completely forgettable. If season 6 absolutely blows our minds, I believe this will be a season we look back on and we appreciate it more for what it was. But as of now, we can only appreciate it for what, it gave us, and that was mid. So yeah, you got to do better, Snowfall. It's all good, though. I'm still here for season 6. So, guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Look, Snowfall Season 5, have you seen it? What did you think about it? If you haven't watched Snowfall, I highly recommend that you start it immediately. Like I said, it's definitely one of the best TV shows of this century. I enjoyed it I still stand by that statement, although this season was not the very best. I still stand by the previous 4 seasons of the show was phenomenal. I'm just praying that this thing does not go through a Game of Thrones or even an Insecure failure, because the last season of Insecure was just a shit fest, and I just don't even understand what Issa did there. But that's irrelevant to this point. Snowfall Season 5, did you guys see it? Please let me know in the comments down below. Be sure to like, subscribe. Guys, this is your guy in the chair. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back.